Yo. What's going on? It's Terrell Hall of Fame D-Line, TBKC, and all that good shit. I'm tired, and I'm back. This video in particular is about an issue. And that issue is something I speak on a lot. But maybe we need to speak on it more, and it's the size of these dogs. But this isn't pertaining to breeding. And I've mentioned it before as I've known it. I've always had a lot more problems with the smaller dogs breeding. And years ago, God rest her soul, one of the doctors that I dealt with, she said it a long time ago that basically we were changing the American bullies a lot, pretty much into bulldogs, English bulldogs. And with English bulldogs, it takes a lot. A lot of times you have to you don't do natural breedings. A lot of times it's surgical inseminations are needed because of how compacted their bodies are. A lot of times the C-section is pretty much necessary to ensure your puppies. And I say a lot of times because there are always going to be those few breeders that like, oh, my Englishes have their puppies natural. Most don't. Just trust me. Most don't. Don't let them tell you that lie. Most don't breed naturally. People will tell you anything, but most English bulldogs do not breed naturally. Well, in the pocket, we've made the pocket a lot like the English bulldog, to where we, it's not a great breeding dog anymore. Especially with the differentials in sizes, it's made it harder and harder for these dogs in particular to breed. Sometimes the smaller bitches are carrying bigger puppies and so on and so forth. And I noticed when a few years back when we had bigger dogs in general, breeding was easy. When I bred Rottweilers, breeding was easy. They would lock up 60 days later, 63 days later, boop, boop, boop. Bunch of puppies. It's not the same way with American bullies. Right now it's almost scientific. It's like you got to do your Dr. Frankenstein thing. You got to cut the bitch. You got to do this. You got to do that with them. And for me personally, I don't think it's one of the reasons why I wanted to add size. These small girls that I have now, smaller girls now, you'll be the last ones. In the future litters, I'm just being very upfront about it, is that I'm always going to take the bigger bitches. I'm going to take the bigger bitches. I don't want micro. I don't want tiny. I've told you guys this a lot, and I'm going to stick to this, and it's not just an opinion, it's a fact. The somewhat bigger dogs are healthier. Even in the pocket class, if you go up to a bigger pocket, the bigger pockets are healthier than the small pockets. I've seen the small pockets have all kind of issues with the birthing process, and I've also seen the pockets actually have a lot of issues with conceiving, and actually having litters. And it's becoming a thing where we have to take a harder look, a very much so harder look, into the way we're breeding these dogs, because health comes first. And I guess as one of the leading members in this community, I can tell everybody, and I'm being very realistic, is the dogs that we are making are not built to last. These dogs that are small, these dogs that are, we want, it's all for aesthetics, and some of it brings in the dwarfism traits and different things like that, but we're into looks. We want looks. I like looks. We want the shorter backs, We like the shorter dogs, it was nice to see a short back, 14-inch dog, and wow, very good looking. But the thing we never took into consideration is that sometimes the organs and the and whether that's the reproduction organs or whatever, they don't do the same thing that the body does. And I've seen on several occasions where you'll see the female get cut open and her insides are like an accordion, almost like the all of her stuff is just. And in terms of having space, space is needed. The uterus needs space, because if it's very cramped up in there, where are the swimmers going to go? It makes it harder for them to swim. It makes the whole process harder, and this is one of the reasons that English bulldogs have to have a lot of surgicals to get around it. And some people, you hear some people talk about this, and I'm sorry I'm dragging y'all, I'm a little bit tired, but you'll hear some people talk about this where they bred the dog naturally, they bred the dog with regular AIs and never had success. As soon as they cut the female open and did the surgical and put it directly right there into the cervix, they had success. That's because of blockage throughout, throughout the process from where, start to get into the cervix. It's a lot going on there. And unfortunately, this is what we're breeding. You want a more compact body. It's not enough room. It goes the same thing with the lungs and the breathing. It's been shown in a lot of animals that the bigger the rib cage, the more space that you can get more oxygen into the body. Shorter, more compact, stout, very, very stout animals have never been known for being distance, having great cardiovascular systems and being able to go for long times. That's not the way they're built. We're building a dog that is basically, in most health reasons, going backwards for health. Out of all the breeds, when you look at them, and I'm just telling you guys this because it's something that we have to think about. Think about some of the smaller breeds like the pug. The pug is one of the most unhealthy dogs on the face of the earth. The Boston Terrier falls in that family. Not a very healthy dog at all. The more we make these dogs that are very small, the English Bulldog is not known for being a great healthy dog. In some cases, the French Bulldog now is not known for being a very healthy dog. And these are all breeds that we wanted that super compact body. We wanted the shorter muzzle. We wanted everything to be compact, compact, compact. But one thing that these dogs in particular all have in common is that not only do they have cardiovascular issues and other health issues, they have reproduction issues. And as we continue to go micro and mini and all these other things that we want to do, we have to think about that. We are recreating pugs and Boston Terriers and English Bulldogs, and this is what we're bringing our dogs towards. I'm just speaking for myself, but in the future, I don't even want to deal with many males that, are under 15 inches. A legitimate 15 inches, I don't want to. And I know you're like, what's the difference in the inch? It's a lot of difference between a 15-inch dog and a 14-inch dog, from my personal experience, but I want to stay, I'm not saying I have to have all giants, but I do want to stay at a certain area where I feel comfortable that I'm doing the right thing by the breed. I do want my dogs, in the next couple generations. I probably will, and I've taken over that now that just with all the struggles of dealing with these dogs, I'll probably do a lot of C-sections and natural, artificial inseminations. But the thing is I'm just doing that for myself. When the bitches are cut open, I do want to examine and more so have the doctor tell me, is it compacted in there? Do you see any abnormalities in there? Because even at this process, if the doctor sees abnormalities, and I have a couple doctors that'll let me come in there and check it out myself, and believe it or not, I do know what I'm looking at. And if it's abnormal and it's too compacted, it's not a good flow, the uterus is not looking healthy or whatever, then we'll have to discontinue that dog from breeding. But we have to get healthier, and all of us should start to think of that. We invest so much time and money into these dogs. Why not build the dogs to last? Why not build the dogs to be something special that we don't have to worry about? And I'm telling y'all, this fad with the micro, the mini, the tiny, the this, the that, the other, all I've seen over the years, from the smaller they get, the more unhealthier they get. It's more and more unhealthy dogs in the small dogs than it is in the XLs. When you look at the XLs, generally you don't hear about all these issues with the XLs. You might hear some structural issues, and some people in the XLs like to go too far on the mastiff side, and you have some issues there. But for the most part, the XLs are beautiful dogs that do what they do, man. And we really have to get back to that. This is not the most energetic video. It's been a long week for me, but I'm glad to be back, man. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Much love. Peace.